Hi everyone, I'm Candace with Skylight Coaching, and this is another episode of, I guess, Candace's stream of consciousness, and kind of a riff on why I think that the Myers-Briggs is, or the MBTI, I should say, is a useful tool. Um, I don't think it's a good idea to go to extremes with anything. I think that sometimes when you find something that just describes you so well, which most people or many people, when they accurately uh, type correctly, so they get their right type, as soon as they do, there's just such a sense of being understood. And I think that that rings true for the INFJ the most, because we frequently report feeling misunderstood. It's a common thing. But in reality, everybody feels misunderstood sometimes. And that's the thing about these types, is that they are indicators of the way, not just the way you behave or the choices that you make, because that can depend on a number of different things, but more importantly, how you are likely, now we're playing the probabilities here, to process information, to process all the stimuli that's coming to you, how your mind takes in that information, organizes it, uses it, and the outgrowth of that is probable tendencies. And so I think that it is a valuable tool. And some people, I remember, I got in this phase with it, and I don't know if I would recommend this or not. On one hand, it seems really efficient, but where I was doing some internet dating, and I would make people take the test. And what I would have them do is not just take one. I would send them to three different sites, and we'd do like a 2 out of 3. And I I will say, if you're gonna go with this approach, don't say, "Hey, do you mind taking this test?" Sorry if that was loud. I don't know if that was loud. Do you mind taking this test? I want to analyze you. I don't recommend doing that. That's just not a good way to pitch it. Um, Let me think about how I would pitch uh, the Myers Briggs indicator uh, before you even go on a date with somebody. So I did this, and this person, they were slightly reluctant, but they sent back a joke. Yeah, I'll do this tea leaf test for you. Basically making a joke that this isn't real, and I think that maybe the big five is, uh, there's more peer reviewed research on it. However, I think, like, Dario Nardi, for example, runs an open lab at UCLA that studies personality type, and they hook electrodes up to people's brain, and then they have them perform certain tasks, and they're definitely able to see that there's a difference in the way that these different types are likely. And now it everything's on a spectrum here, but are likely to process this information. And I think that the more people study it, the more nuanced and detailed it becomes. So yeah, there is a lot of garbage on the internet, but one thing I notice is that it's sort of, some of it's inaccurate, like when people don't really know the stack of a particular type. But more often than not, what I see, and I like to take in lots and lots of information and then form the patterns and think about it, is that it's just a lot of regurgitated information. And certain types certainly get a lot more play than some of the other types, because while all the different types are interesting in their own way, I think some of the types are, I personally am super interested in studying the INTJ. I just really like the stacks of different people. Uh, I don't know where I was going with that, other than it becomes more nuanced as we begin to study it, and as different individuals analyze it, apply it to their life and their situation, and they're able to find more refined and nuanced examples of how the cognitive stack is playing out, or the common thread of experience that different types have. And I think that it is a study that is in continual development. And I think it has merit. I think it has value. And I felt, and the reason that I'm an advocate for typology, and I'll get back to the internet dating, but the reason that I'm an advocate for it is that it helps you understand yourself. It helps you understand your probable strengths and your probable weaknesses. And you need some sort of indicator, because if life is your only indicator, it's hard to make those distinctions quickly and then course correct as efficiently as you would if you had some sort of metric for understanding yourself and your behavior. And so I think it's really helpful. So I had this person on the internet take the test, and they turned out to be an ESFP. And I was like, it's a deal breaker. Like, I'm not having it. Like, I just have a personal rule. Actually, this is not true, because, yeah, this isn't what I'm about to say isn't 100% true now that I'm thinking about it. Is I was going to say I have a rule that I do not date a sensor. Like, I'm just not into it. Like, I'm not interested in sensory information. Now, other people, they're not as strong on this topic, but I felt like I had an experience with one whom I did care about and I did like, but no. I, and for me, what it is that I have grown up in a family of sensors, and in my personal and intimate relationship with a significant other, I refuse to feel like an alien and to be all out there with my intuitive ideas. And I do appreciate sensors, though, don't get me wrong. I do appreciate their tradition. I mean, they're the fabric of society. 70%, I think, of the population is a sensor, and that's great. And they keep things moving. I would hire one. I would partner with one for certain types of projects. But I personally don't think I could form a long-term marriage or something with a sensor. And that's just and they would probably not want one with me. Like, I think it's 4 in the morning right now, and I haven't been to sleep, and I've just been doing this kind of stuff. So I feel like I am so far out there that maybe, yeah, they wouldn't be into me. Now, people are people, and they're not just types, and so I would caution just not interacting with a person based on their type. But I was going through a period where I really wanted to be super efficient with I had no reason to be. I mean, I had plenty of free time. It's just, I would see if I could get people to take this test, or all 3 of them. And I remember one person, as soon as they took it, I think that they were an ESTJ, and basically we were just like, yeah, let's there's no need to meet. Once he read about his thing, and I think I said it really helps you be efficient at work or something like that. I didn't say, take the test and let me analyze you. But he took it, and we just were like, all right, well, bye. And there was no reason to meet. However, I'm also trying to just keep an open mind, because the truth of it is, type or no type, you have absolutely no idea what somebody has to offer you in life or bring you or connect with you. And so maybe don't just rule people out immediately. Like, I'm sure some people are listening to that and they're like, yeah, I don't think I would have somebody take a bunch of tests before I was willing to meet them. But I just wanted to see if that would work. And also because I became like obsessed with this idea that I really wanted an INTJ. So what I did is I looked at all the different types and I thought, okay, what can I deal with and what can I not deal with? And I ruled out all the sensors. I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. And then I looked at ENFJ, which I was in a long-term relationship with one. And one thing I like about them is they definitely help you get out there and be social, and they're super productive. They get all kinds of stuff done. But I also remember, and maybe it was just him and I, but I don't think so, because I also ordered a compatibility report, like a very in-depth compatibility report between the INFJ and the ENFJ, after we had been together for about 4 years, and it was accurate, and it was talking about how sometimes they're super bossy and they're all about trying to get you to be productive. And it's so funny because in that relationship I was so resentful of just how pushy he was and obsessed with my level of productivity because he was so on top of his own. And then after we've broken up, even though I remember really not liking that and being uncomfortable a lot of the time, if I'm honest with myself, I got way more shit done every single day. Partly because I wanted to avoid conflict with him, which led to a whole host of other problems. But I I definitely, yeah, I got a lot more done. And sometimes I think I miss that. I really want that. And ENFPs are great. They're so fun. But it's hard to get things done. So long story short, I don't know if this is going to be a long story short, but I became obsessed with this idea that I don't want an INTP, I want an INTJ. And so I think that that's why I was trying to have people take this test, and I never found an INTJ. Actually, I did. No, I did. And this person had the name and all the characteristics online and kind of like on paper that I thought that I was. And then when we met, I'm like, I don't think that you're an INTJ. Like, I don't think so. I thought he was maybe an ISFJ or an INFJ like me, but for some reason he didn't seem analytical enough or sharp enough to be an INTJ. And wow, this really went on to my dating habits and using the MBTI. I'm going to make another video on why I think that this is a useful metric for understanding yourself, understanding other people, and why it's a helpful tool, and how you can map this on to other constructs and see the different patterns and see kind of like what flavor of an INFJ you are, what kind of like what kind of an INFJ you are. or whatever type you happen to be, but I think I'm going to focus on INFJ for a little while. And this has been going on for too long, so I'm going to stop it here and pick it up in another video.